Think you're too old for Instagram success? At 58 years old, after spending over 25 years as a traditional business owner and HR professional, David was looking for a way to secure his retirement. He tried program after program, searching for something that actually worked, and then everything changed. Today, just months later, David has grown inspiration for income to over 140,000 passionate followers, all without showing his face or spending hours on social media. But here's what makes the story truly remarkable. This isn't just another young influencer success story. This is proof that age is just a number when you have the right system. David has built such an engaging following that his audience literally begs him to post more content, and now he's turning this into a real business, creating products and expanding to multiple pages, all while preparing for an early retirement. In this case study, David reveals exactly how he went from complete beginner to Instagram success story and shares the exact strategies that helped him build this thriving community. If you've ever thought, I'm too old for social media, or it's too late to start, you need to watch this entire interview. Let's dive in. David, great to have you here today. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you. How's it going today?
Hey, Arnis. Good to see you, man. I'm doing great.
Awesome.
I'm really excited to be here and talk with you today.
Me too. You have a unique story. So first off, can you just kind of introduce yourself and share, what's going on in your life, who you are, what you've been doing, and how you discovered, Instagram pages, at this stage of your life.
Yeah, sure. No problem. So, like I said, my name's David. I'm in my middle 50s, which is probably a little bit older than most of the folks that you've been working with. I have been in traditional business for a long time. I've been mainly as an HR director for several different companies, startup companies, what have you. Also ran operations for some mid-sized companies. Way back years ago, I actually started my career as a television producer director. So I've got some creativity on my side as well. My life is pretty busy, even at this stage of the game. I work a full-time job still, and I'm higher up in a company, and put in a lot of hours there, 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. Also taking care of my mom, who's elderly, and trying to, that takes up a lot of time. But, and I'm married and have kids that are grown and grandkids and all that. So it's busy. But what I was looking for to start this Instagram business was really looking for something to do online that could help me for retirement, which a lot of times, obviously, for a lot of the guys that we work with in your group, they're younger, right? And they're not thinking about that at all. But what I'm looking at is I've got a great career and I've made plenty of money and what have you. But for retirement, I'm looking for something I can continue doing, make more revenue while getting into retirement and maybe retire a little early. And that's really where I started looking. And Instagram, I was on Instagram already and started getting a lot, when you start looking at things, you start getting a lot of information about making money online and things like that. So I started looking at it and realized that this kind of business was something I could do in retirement. I could do it part-time right now to start building it. And I could also, make it something. At the time, I didn't really realize how big I could make it. My thinking was much smaller, like, well, maybe just replace part of my income or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And through what you and I've done, I know we can do a lot better than that.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess what made you decide to start, your Instagram automation journey, and specifically also reached out to me to work with me? What was the thinking process behind that?
Well, I had done, I knew Instagram and or some sort of online business was going to be what I wanted to do. So before I had actually met you, I came across some other gurus out there, another organization, and went through their training program or started it and got a little taste of it and actually started a page, and it went nowhere, mainly because that training to me was so much more it was just complicated. They overcomplicated everything. There was just too many things. They didn't get right to the point. Just to get even started, to start a page was a big pain, right? But and one day I came across one of your videos and I listened and I thought, this young man has got some great business sense already. I could tell you knew what you were talking about. And I went through some of your videos and some of your just free training tips, those kind of things. And you and those free things were giving away much more value and straight to the point, like I said, value and just information that I started the page I've got now, which is Inspiration for Income. And just from your free stuff, I got, some great followers. It's just started, right? So it was from there. Then I got with you, and I learned so much more. And I know we can talk about that, but yeah, I was just excited because I could tell you were straight to the point. That's what I liked about your training.
I love that. I appreciate your words. Yeah, I remember, like, I think there's a few levels of teachers. You become a really, really good, like, coach or a teacher or whatever you want to call it when you can explain a complex concept in very simple words, where, like, if you tell it to a 7-year-old, they would
Yeah,
understand it. And
yeah,
that's real coaching. Um, you can tell when someone doesn't know what they're talking about if they're using like a bunch of complex words and they're trying to like over explain themselves. Yeah, usually they don't understand it enough. So I'm glad that someone like you, who probably didn't grow up with social media, and a phone in their hand,
not at
you
all.
still went through my training. And I mean, today, what, you have 141,000 followers, right? So like,
Yeah.
since we started working, what was kind of like the biggest transformation you've experienced since joining the program?
Well, I think honestly, going through your training and your group, I want to throw some praise on the group because everybody that's in that group is in the same kind of mindset and path, no matter what our age is, right? But what the transformation for me has been is really opened up my mind and my expectations of what's possible, what is able to be achieved with this kind of business model. There's money to be made, right? And the amount of money I was shocked at, to be honest with you, from talking with some of the guys and hearing some of the other people that you've worked with in the past. So for me, really, that transformation has been more about opening my mindset more to it. And like I said, I didn't think it was going to be like I can make as much money as I make now. I make pretty good money, and I can make that or even more. So it's been a big thing. It's really broadened my expectations, and meeting the group of I made some great friends also across the world. Me and several guys in Germany, and I talk with quite often from the group, and so on. So that's what's helped me. And I wanted to mention something that I really loved about your program, other than others, is yeah, we go through how to monetize. We go through how to what other way, digital products and newsletters and all kinds of different things. But I loved that you started with mindset because that's the thing for most people that kills you in the business, whether it's this business or any other business. You don't set yourself up to begin with to succeed. And I loved that that's where you started.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. So I guess like before you started working with me, like, I mean, could you give me an example? Like, what were you thinking in terms of like what's possible with this? And what are you thinking now? I guess like, can you give me an example?
Yeah, for sure. I think when I was just thinking about it, I thought, well, if I could make two, three, $4,000 a month, that would be unbelievable, right? Making money from something online. It sounds insane and crazy. And to people my age, or probably in their 40s, even, like you said, that didn't grow up with social media, yeah, it sounds like impossible. Um, Now, I from seeing the stories, talking with people, guys that started the class with me at the same time who are making quite a bit of money already. I can see, hundreds of $1,000s a year will be no problem whatsoever. It's a matter of consistency, staying with it, Still learning. I'm still learning what's going to work, what's not going to work so great. Diversification, you know, go into newsletters, start new pages, do all kinds of different monetization methods that are out there. So it's really opened my eyes.
Love it, love it. No, I appreciate you sharing that with us. So now today I just checked, you have 141,000 followers, right? So
Right.
like, what have you learned so far? What was like the most impactful strategy for you, or you learned how to actually like grow a following? Because in my opinion, like what I think, if you're like older, the whole concept of like following, organic reach, like all of these concepts are pretty confusing in general. But if you're new to social media, right? Like you're from the an older generation, it's even more confusing. Like, where does this like come from? Where does this follower come from? Like, how did they find me, right? So, what was the strategy you learned, or you were like, okay, it's pretty crazy that this works, but this works, you know?
Yeah. I think it boils down to like three things for me specifically. Number one, consistency of posting. Three reels every day, generally about the same time every day. Once you find out where people are following you, what time they're there, and they see them, but it's consistency. Also, quality of content, right? Finding, using viral topics or content that is going viral already, but you mix in your own spin to it. And then once you find a look that is doing well for people, or that all of a sudden followers start. We've talked about it a lot in the training, but it takes one viral video, right? Once that thing kicks off and that starts getting some followers, then you start double downing on that kind of look. And for me, sticking with that, even though maybe it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be in the beginning, when I first started, I was posting a lot of different kinds of what it looked like. From what it looks like today is totally different because I saw, okay, well, this is what works and this is what people are picking up on and this is what resonates with people. So I started doubling down on that. So it's really about consistency, finding that look. Once you got a look, stick to it because then your page starts taking on a certain look that people resonate with and they want to see more of it. And then the quality. Just keep looking for more viral content, mix yourself in, and communicate with the people, right? It's social. You're supposed to. So I try and connect with followers as much as possible. And they do a lot for it's the old word of mouth, right? They send it out. They're sending out my reels to other friends and family, and all of a sudden it just starts growing like crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I like how Airbnb CEO, like I watched the interview, I think yesterday, he was like, we did like unscalable stuff a lot at the beginning. And he was like, we were just focusing on like 100 people that absolutely loved Airbnb. And we
Right,
focused on making them tell other people how much they love it. And he was in a conference, and there was this one woman who said, oh, I told 1,000 people about Airbnb. You know,
right,
one person can tell 1,000 different people about what you do if they really
yeah,
love it, right? So if you can connect with those followers, that's where that compound effect and compound effect graph kicks in, right? So yeah, it's great to see what you've done. And also, I remembered a pretty funny thing with our coffee mug, thing. Do you want to kind of expand on that?
well, yeah. I jokingly told to the group one day, one of these I call them silly coffee mug reels. I put one up and it went crazy. It got like 500,000 views in 2 days or something, and I was just shocked. Like, okay, this I thought it looked great, but it wasn't something I thought would be that big of a hit. And all of a sudden, there it is. So, like I said, I started doing quite a few of those, and I don't. That's not all I do, but a lot of those have great response. So we just keep doing those, right?
Yeah, I remember I told you, just like looking at your profile, I would tell you one thing: do more coffee mug videos. And we were kind of like laughing about it, but you did
Yeah,
more, and like you went more viral, which was
yeah.
pretty funny how it worked.
So yeah, one of those has got like 4.5 million views or something like that. So,
Yeah.
they
Just
do
the
great.
coffee mug. Yeah.
Yeah, coffee mug and a great, and my page is all about inspiring, sayings and stuff like that, right? So you put a great saying on it, and it does great.
Yeah,
And
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 I'll
something else, we were just talking about the growth. I've noticed over since I started, a couple of what I would call celebrities have started following me, and just them putting out one of my posts or something is amazing, right? Because they've got millions of followers, and all of a sudden, those people are seeing my page.
exactly. Yeah, it's word of mouth, but from celebrities, you know?
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So let me ask you this, like how like the systems and the frameworks I kind of shared with you help
Yeah.
you to simplify the whole, let's say, business model and systemize your content creation at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from you. Obviously, working smarter, not so hard, right? So some of the ones we use or that I use are Canva, CapCut, ChatGPT for descriptions and captions, and it started my newsletter. It helps me to write a lot of the content, or help me with ideas, come up with ideas for content, things like that. I'm still just running it myself, but I see, my scalable plan is to add pages. And once I do that, which should be very soon, I'll probably hire an editor to help me with that. More chat GPT. I'm actually working on a digital product right this minute for this new page, which is going to be in health and wellness niche. So we'll want to do a launch from that. And all of those things really help me a lot. So the online tools are great, help save me a lot of time. Um, it's really going to be about hiring a couple of people once I get there, and maybe before I get there, so I can scale it a little bit faster. And and then using those online tools. Really, Canva's been fantastic, and ChatGPT, and I'm starting to work on Midjourney to work on doing some AI posts for this new niche.
Hmm. Awesome. I'm curious, like with your current page right now, how much time would you say you're spending per day to kind of run everything?
Yeah. Well, like I was telling you earlier, my life is pretty busy at the moment. So I'm not able to spend as much time as I would even want, but probably an hour, hour and a half a day.
Hmm.
More on the weekends. I'll spend, 2, 3, 4 hours on a Saturday or something, getting content ready for the week. And oh, and I forgot to mention that I use Meta Business to schedule everything, so I don't have to post it during the day. I just don't have time to do that. So realistically, I feel like I'm not even growing as fast as I could, mainly just because I'm not putting in more hours. I'm only putting maybe an hour and a half a day.
And you're already growing pretty quick as well. So it's like if you could double down on it, you would probably take off like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, if I had more time, I think I'd be able to and work on more monetization methods and stuff like that.
Yeah, for
But I'm
sure.
happy with the growth so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. So I want to ask you, like, I've seen like one main achievement of yours, which is 141K followers. And that's what I usually see. But there are wins that probably not everyone sees or not as public. Maybe they're like inner wins or just like someone you really like, shared your post or whatever. So, like, what specific results and achievements you have had so far on your journey here?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 140,000 followers is fantastic. Um, I never really expected it to grow that much on this one page. But I tell you what, I've really learned so much about. It's kind of on the personal side. It's more about proving to myself that I can do this type of business, and that the revenue, is possible. I'm not making a ton of money at this yet. I'll be real honest with everybody, but I've got the processes in place and learned what I need to learn to be able to see how to do this. And with my knowledge from business, I think it helps me to see that because I'm working on the long game. I'm not worried right this second about making 10 grand this month. I'm more worried about, okay, my scalability of this business and how that's going to look. And I have a good projection and revenue projections and how to do that. And I've got a plan. And like I was saying, it's all about your mindset and how you go about that. So for me, the win so far has been about just knowing I can do it and proving to myself that I can do it, but also this business can do it, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that. So, what would you say to someone who's just like watching this? Maybe they have started an account and they have like 5 followers, or maybe they're just thinking about starting their own like Instagram automation business. Like, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Um, well, first thing is, I would say no matter what age you are, whether it's, young, 20s, or younger for that matter, or a little bit older like me, anybody can do this kind of business. What it boils down to is just like anything else, treat it like a business. If you commit to this, if you decide, okay, I'm going to do this, then commit to it. Show up every day, be consistent, don't expect to do nothing and explode your page. It takes work. It's not just no effort. And be ready for both your achievements and your setbacks. From day to day, one day I'll have 3,000 people follow me, and the next day I'll have 400. It's like, dang, what happened? What happened? It's just kind of how it goes. Or you put a promo out, and one day it does great, and the next it's not so hot. You just have to figure out how to roll with those punches, right? Because that's part of business. And then, but once you decide to do it, go all in, get going at it, and stick with it. Give it enough time to make sure that it's going to be what you want to do. But once you decide, just stick with it and do it.
Amazing. Love it. And thanks for sharing that, David. So, I'm pretty much done with questions, but do you have anything else you'd like to share with the audience, maybe about your journey, or maybe just some advice, anything you have on your mind?
Yeah, I think for me, kind of to give you a plug, this training has really, and not just the training part of it, but just kind of getting to know you and getting to to get your perspective, a whole different perspective than I grew up with, or even, have been around, and meeting all the people in the group. It has given me the opportunity to broaden my mind a little bit more and to always think bigger as far as, I've been in companies and I've built companies before that have made millions of dollars, and I never expected to be able to say I could do that with this if I really want to. So I would say to somebody thinking about going through your training and just getting to know you, I would say do it. You guys are great. Everybody in the group's great. You got a lot of great knowledge, and the business acumen that you have is unbelievable, especially at your age. So my hat's off to you. It took me a long time to figure all of that stuff out, like you have at your age. So if somebody's looking to do it, I would say get to it and join the group, and let's get busy together, because that's what we like doing, is helping each other.
Love it. Big thanks, David, for coming on. Thanks for sharing everything. Thanks for
Absolutely.
plugging me. I really appreciate everything. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your story. This is amazing, and we should, spread the word that this is possible, and people should look into this. Not enough people talk about this. So again, thanks for coming on. Big thank you, and we'll see each other in our coaching calls.
Take care, man. Thanks.